Oh. And just figure out how to get this off. Good Lord. They sure don't design these things with men with hair like I've got. Today's video is about a problem I have. As you all know, with these new integrated cable routings, you have to have some fancy stem. The tried and true conventional stem likely isn't going to work for you. And even if you want a fancy Chinese knockoff carbon stem that you've had for 10 years, that isn't going to work because you got to have the look nowadays. So what I did was went out and bought a Yoeleo stem. I think this was supposed to be 120 mils, but it came out at 125. Then afterwards, I went on to looked at our friends at AliExpress, and look at this. Wow, it's like its twin or something for a third the price. But there's more to this story, which we'll go through today. This is the stem I ordered from Yoeleo, Canada. This is the stem I bought from the Thrust carbon bike store, which was a third of the cost of Yoeleo. This is where it gets a little interesting. So my Yoeleo wheels that I did a previous video on came from the Thinner Clothing Company. Nice to see someone who's in the clothing business is making wheels from Hong Kong. Then the stem, which took considerably longer, like 40 days, came from China. And to get rid of any conspiracy theories, the AliExpress stem came from somewhere different. According to my Chinese PhD who can read this stuff, it came from Shenzhen City, Guangdong province. He also mentioned to me that if there's anywhere that sells knockoffs, it'd be exactly they'd come from Guangdong province. I'm going to throw a little idea out there for you. I don't think Yoeleo Canada really exists. There's no evidence of them having a warehouse in Canada. And I'd suggest that if they have a Europe or a US thing, it's likely the same because everything I've got from them, including another package which I haven't mentioned here, came from China or Hong Kong. This is what Yoeleo sends you. Regrettably, when I measure this stem is not 120 millimeters, it's 125. They send you a Garmin mount, which is quite nice, and more importantly, the ASR headset spacer adapter to make it a clean look. This thing usually would retail for about, I believe, 30 bucks, and this on their website was about 50 bucks. So it makes the 180 Canadian seem a little bit more bearable. The moment of truth for the 4 stems in this test. The Genuine 3T, 100 millimeters. The knockoff 3T carbon, 100 millimeters. The AliExpress special, 120 millimeters. And the Yoeleo stem, 120 millimeters. I originally thought the Garmin mount was quite portly, but if you compare it to the original faceplate with a standard Garmin mount, you're doing okay. Even with a lighter out front Garmin mount, you're still doing okay. But I'll point out that this faceplate needs to go on a diet. This is the carbon one, and here is an aluminum one. Quite possibly my favorite thing is to complain about the weight penalties due to integrated cable routing. So here is how much the stem and spacer stack weighs for the ACR on the wind space I'm building. Now, if I sacrifice looks and integrated cables, that's how much it would weigh. And I'm not even including the extra weight of the headset. When you compare the Yoeleo to the AliExpress stem, they're pretty much identical when you visually look at them. They appear, although they're slightly different length, this one is 120 and this one is 125, they appear to come from the same mold or family of molds. This one has internal cable routing. This one does not have it machined out. The big difference comes when you feel inside these. This is quite smooth and well machined in here. Then when you get to this one, well, young man, I'm going to tell you something right now. Never stick your finger into something blindly. That is absolutely nasty. See if you can see that in the camera, the difference in machining. As part of this video, I'm going to officially retire my 3T stem. And I finally, after research, figured out this thing is 100% a knockoff. They're available on about 15 different sites on AliExpress. The way you can tell, or the final thing, was here. They typically put 100 millimeters here. 3T writes out their lengths. There's a few other inconsistencies. What happened, though, is the clamp never really worked that well. These bolts are rusted out, and the actual bolt right here are frozen in. And the inserts for the bolt here has pulled out now. So this is going to go to destructive testing, and we'll compare the quality of this versus the AliExpress special stem. In a previous video, we had issues with a tight hole. Now we have a non-round hole. So here is our reference stem from 3T, the genuine one. Absolutely fantastic. This is a cutout of a 31/8 bar. Now if I even try the knockoff stem, it's perfectly round, both sides. Now let's try the modern stems. First, let's try the face plates. This is the Yoeleo face plate. Look at that. There's some issues there already. It is not round. And then let's try the cheaper face plate. Pretty much identical issues. You can see the space in there. That should be flush. Thank God. And we know they know what a hole is because the Garmin mount they provided with the stem is perfect. Then let's go for the actual cheap stem. Once again, as you can see in there, if I put that around, that is not round, or it's undersized. And finally, the expensive stem. Sure enough, I think you can see the white in the background there. It is not a flush fit. Now, in the case of the expensive stem, there's some pretty nasty machining in here, and this is not flat. I'm going to go and take that off right now with a sander. These are the results after about 5 minutes of very carefully working on this in my shop. I have a satisfactory fit now, particularly considering I'm going to be putting some high-end carbon bars on this. There's exactly no chance I can fix that faceplate. So I'll end up using the provided Garmin mount. I took about 10 seconds in the shop to figure out that no matter what I did with the cheap AliExpress stem, there's exactly no chance I'm going to be able to resurrect this unless I do some gross maneuvers. So remember, for safety, especially when you got gorgeous hair like this, You got to keep it out of the way of the rotating equipment. The other thing is you're cutting carbon. So young men, got to make sure you keep it all lubricated up. Some soapy water to keep the carbon down, the carbon shards, and should wear a respirator too so you don't inhale anything you're cutting. I use the magnifying glass to take a detailed look at the knockoff 3T stem. You can see right away that the wall thicknesses are relatively uniform. It's stiff. I'm not sure what you call that in the carbon, but generally it seems pretty good. And of course I seem to be fixated on the hole, but the hole is perfect. Let's compare and contrast that to the AliExpress special. This is not so good. If you look at this side, the hole doesn't seem to be too bad. Now let's look at the other side. Oh boy, that's not good. I don't know if you can see that. But there's quite a significant gap on this side and almost no gap on this side. So the machining is not so good. Generally, when you go to the, let's call it the clamp side, heading out towards the faceplate of the stem, it's fairly uniform and fairly stiff. And then you get into this area, which I think the Yoeleo stem is much better, where they've actually machined this out. But I'll call this carbon slag in here. It's got a ton of porosity in it, and I'm not sure what it contributes to the overall structural strength. But generally, I would not recommend getting this stem. If we look at the faceplate, of course, it's thick, good old carbon. Bringing this home, obviously, on this build that I've been doing on YouTube, the Yoeleo stem has made its way onto it. I appreciate the fact that they gave me this spacer and that they gave me this Garmin mount. But I am a little concerned about the roundness of that hole. If I hadn't done a consumer level inspection and just installed this and torqued it up, I could have failed these very expensive handlebars. Also, you may wait a while to get this stem, and there may be cheaper options out there for you which are almost identical on AliExpress. Of course, for a little bit more than that stem I cut up. With that, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and if you got anything to say, put something in the comments down below. Till next time, ride hard.